Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another chart of the week. I'm Lisa Miller. I've been getting a lot of questions recently about how are Hispanics feeling about the current economy and obviously all of the immigration issues that are happening. But I always say that average is awful. So not only am I going to look at total Hispanics versus total US, but I wanted to look at the data Texas versus California Hispanics just to see if there was anything different that would be helpful relative to running your businesses. So let's take a look at this chart. As you know, I've been tracking economic sentiment for quite a while now, but what we're looking at here is kind of consolidated timeframes. I wanted to understand, starting in 2024, kind of the ramp up leading to the election, immediately after the election, and then now into 2025, the first quarter, and then also April, May, just to see what's going on. On the left-hand side, we're looking at the green, which is spending as usual. And what you can see is that in general, the Hispanic population, total US, is actually trends just a little bit lower than the total US. And then we did have a couple time periods where it was more flat. But where we see the bigger differences is in that I'm stopping my spending. I'm anxious and very anxious. So I'm not going to be participating in the economy. And what's interesting is you see two pretty big gaps. The first is going to be leading up to the election. And Hispanics were plus 6 points higher on their anxiousness about spending versus the total US. But then if you look at April and May, we also see another big jump. And so what that means is that our Hispanic populations are actually feeling more anxious today than they have been recently. So this next chart is looking at Texas Hispanics versus California Hispanics on the same two measures. On the left-hand side, we have our spending as usual, and on the right-hand side, we actually have our anxiousness and stopping spending. When we look at the data on the left, the spending as usual, you can see that Texas Hispanics actually in early 24 were actually much more positive in their approach in spending as usual versus California Hispanics. But you can see how these time periods, they flipped. Post-election, the Texas Hispanics were a little bit more favorable, but even in April, May, the Texas Hispanics a little bit more favorable. But the more important insight is actually on the right-hand side of the page. I want you to look at the line for the Texas Hispanics in the anxiousness and fear. It has gone up 12 points since the election. And so if you're in a market in Texas and you're feeling that pressure, this is probably why, because we know historically attitudes lead behaviors. And if this anxiousness continues to grow, consumers will not engage in the economy. So what's the so what, now what? The first is average is awful. You cannot look at the Hispanic population as one group, and the way they are digesting and feeling the impact is materially different in California versus Texas. So average is awful. The next is do what you do best, which is take care of your employees, take care of your customers, and make sure that you can build that trust and care and empathy to the best of your ability. We'll continue to watch this, but I felt like it was important insight to share with you to help you understand what's going on in the marketplace. Until next time, thank you.